Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. Your magical kiss will take me just so far. Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. Don't leave me like this, dangling from a star. Set me all aflame and it's so pleasing. It sure would be a shame if you were only teasing. So my love, before I go, turn the lights way down low and talk to me. Talk to me, talk to me. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Don McKeag Show. Kenny Bukes, Steve Leiden are here. Kenny, by the way, is this our 50th? 50th show. If you should not be able to catch us from 6 to 7 on Thursdays, which is live, we are also on during the week. Kenny, I think, can post it up there on the days. I know we're on Monday, Wednesday, and Sunday, but I think we're on more than that. On either Comcast is 13, I believe, and Verizon. No, Verizon is 13. Verizon's 43 and Comcast is 13. So, but you can go to YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. Now we'll have, when I drop this off, we will have 50 shows. All you have to do is go to Don McKeag TV Show on YouTube, and you can listen to conservative talk. Now tonight, there's a lot going on in the political world. And it's a big, big story in terms of our future. A lot of these so-called experts don't get it. And one of the reasons they don't get it is because they are not allowed to say the truth in the national media, which is controlled by journalists who have graduated from schools of journalism by their own admission, controlled probably now close to 90% with a liberal bent. That's what these young people who go into schools of journalism, that's what they're subjected to. It's not unbiased, it is biased, and it has been for a long, long time. I was a school teacher for 13 years, 12 or 13, I can't remember, it was so long ago. And I saw the trend coming. The Democratic Party, of which I was once a JFK devoted Democrat, member of the party, worked within the party. But that's when Democrats represented what I believe the Democratic Party was. And they weren't hanger-ons, and they weren't people looking for handouts or to give other people's money in handouts to buy votes, which is what especially this state has become, which is why it is a one-party state, a very unhealthy situation. Now, one of the things I haven't mentioned, I do a radio show, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, too. I hope you'll listen. And I know a lot of Plymouth people do. Other people, it's 95.1. It's iHeartRadio now, which is national. It's on Saturday mornings from 11 to 1. Again, the Don McKeag Show. I'm not on here for self-promotion. I'd like to clearly state this. I am on here because my conscience tells me I should. I should at least try. One of the things I haven't talked about, I have on the radio, but I've never mentioned it on this show, I don't believe, is those who listen to talk radio. This is the illness that's in this country that the media has successfully accomplished. This country isn't controlled by government anymore. It's controlled by the media. This is what we're going to get into when we get to Donald Trump. He is the lone wolf. Forget whether you like him or not, we'll get to him. He is challenging this status quo, not the Republican Party, which is what the media wants to turn it into. He is challenging and giving them a huge run for their money. He's challenging those that rule this wonderful country of ours, the media, not the Democratic Party. They're only an extension of who the media wants. Now, I want to read this quote by Martin Luther. One of our callers, great caller, Jeff, called in. I haven't been able to really research, not the authenticity, but again, I guess the circumstances. I believe it was around the year 1527 or 8. In other words, almost 500 years ago. A Roman Catholic monk, devoted, from Germany, who saw the corruption, saw the fact that the Catholic Church hierarchy, not the church, not the priests and nuns, not the people, the corrupt top of the church in the Vatican was controlling the value systems, or lack of same, without television, without all this in media that we have now available at our fingertips. And he confronted it, risked his life, certainly was excommunicated, no longer became a priest, no longer could be a priest, and of course, he also then was the reason for the founding of the Reformation, which led to the Protestant religion. That's how powerful his message was. And what we're not going to see, except in talk radio, conservative talk radio, is really the truth, really what we are facing today. Now, I started to say about talk radio what I've never mentioned on here in terms of facts and figures. Talk radio really came about in the 30s, early 40s, by mistake almost. A band leader had he hooked up a telephone to someone else that was going to call in while he was playing tunes. Someone heard it. I have the names and numbers. They don't matter. Jerry Williams, those of you old enough to remember, Jerry Williams was the founder, really, on the East Coast, by and large, of talk radio, which was call-in, where people could, as the present format is, where they could call in, express their viewpoints, but at the same time, where an individual, like Howie Carr, Rush Limbaugh, several others that have tried it, liberals who don't seem to last, and then little Don McKeag and others. We get on and we discuss the conditions of our community, our state, our country, and of the world as best we know. The thing we learn early on is don't trust the media. Now, if you think this is something new, and why I, as a teacher, am so infuriated by the media today and the college establishment today, which is so heavily biased toward the left, which is basically toward socialism, which is what the Democratic Party has become. The reason I'm so concerned over that is because they now determine, as the television media does for us, what we are going to hear. There is freedom of the press. There's no power that can stop them and require the truth. You understand that? And when they're caught, they've been caught several times, it's just move on, business as usual. What was his name? Brian Williams. Disgraceful. We had a couple of reporters for the Globe. Disgraceful. They come back and show up again. Why? Because they're Democrat and they're liberal. That's why. Conservatives get caught lying or doing something, he's long gone. They couldn't sell pencils. That's what we're coping with. But getting back to Martin Luther, here is what he said, which means so much to today and to me. And it's one of the main reasons I'm on and do this show. He said, cowardice asked the question, is it safe? Expediency asked the question, is it politic? Vanity asked the question, is it popular? But conscience asked the question, is it right? And there comes a time when a man or a woman, I'm paraphrasing now, any of us, has to decide what's more important. Is it more important to be politic? Is it more important to be popular? Is it more important to be safe? Or is it more important to have a conscience and do what you know to be right? I read that here, and I will. And I talk about it on my radio show. Now, one of the problems with today's United States is the media. Talk radio, as I started to tell you, there are only about 22 or 3% of the population listens to talk radio. Of that 23%, might be 25 now, it rose a little bit. Now I think it's gone up more. People know they have to pay attention in these times more. But of that 24 or 5%, which is small when you figure the damage that is done by people not hearing what is the truth. I tell what I believe, not just me, but after reading and after living a life over 70 years and seeing what has happened and why, I have something to say based on that experience and the knowledge from others. That being said, it shows how the media has such a huge percent of the audience, whereas talk radio doesn't, except the tradesmen. They listen in their cars and trucks, and those commuting lots of times to Boston or to work or wherever. The big concern has always been, though, that of the percentage of that 25%, we'll say, 46% are Republicans, and only 28 or 29% are Democrats. 65% of the total are men. Only 27% are women. The other, for some reason, doesn't register. Evidently, that's somebody that either declares himself as a man or a woman. So that means that those of us that try to share conservative knowledge, not just opinions, we're talking about knowledge, we're in a huge minority. Now, this show is on from 6 to 7 every Thursday. It's public TV, and we have a very small audience of the total amount of people who are, of course, watching the news. We're also at the supper hour. My radio program is on from 11 to 1. We have a very, very good audience. Arbitron, the rating company, has estimated that depending upon the weather, depending upon the time of the year, we can have as many as 35 or 6,000 people listen to that show for 2 hours on radio, which is quite a bit. Now, of course, our show is competing, as this one is, but in the summer, can you imagine? People are playing golf. People have got family. But it's been interesting to find that a lot of people catch part of the show. They are going to listen to the show. This is what the electronic world today can find out. They also give you ratings as to the age and the sex of the audience. All of those things. Now, the problem today is that the public doesn't know what they don't know. Excuse me. President John F. Kennedy in 1962 once said, "A man does what he must in spite of personal consequences, in spite of obstacles and dangers and pressures, and that is the basis of all human morality." Now let's revisit that. A man does what he must in spite of personal consequences. Not happening today with too many men and women. We've lost our religious core, which is an active goal of the left. And yet those people who are in the liberal establishment swear that they're just as religious as anyone else. Some honestly go to church, honestly think that. But what they don't know and won't admit to is they won't admit to the fact that they are being dishonest in their evaluation of what the liberal left stands for. And that's the danger of it. Now, just to show you what our college is today, I don't know if you saw this. I was a graduate of UMass in Amherst. They've been taken over by the liberal Democratic Party. They've overspent, continue to overspend. I was proud to go to the University of Massachusetts. My father had bought a business. He didn't have any money. Cash was tight. I went to the University of Mass because in those days, the state schools were very, very reasonable. A working class family in Massachusetts could send their child, boy or girl, to UMass. I believe our tuition was like $200 a semester. Imagine. Then you paid, of course, for your books. You paid some other for the food and so forth. What is it now? $25,000. UMass just gave salary increases. There are people in UMass Amherst and all the UMass. It's become a cash cow, like education has in general. Every program here that I'm on eventually touches upon education because it is so out of control. You in Plymouth ought to know that. Your taxes are crazy because of it. And it isn't about the kids, but we won't go there. But just to show you, Amherst, which is the town where the University of Massachusetts is that I went to, that I attended to, and received a wonderful education. Didn't cost my family a lot. I went there because it was reasonable. Amherst has a college, famous college. Robert Frost, the famous poet, taught there. I believe he came from New Hampshire and moved to Amherst. Was a professor there for years. I saw him near the end of his life. He gave a talk at the University of Mass Student Union. In the infinite wisdom and the priorities of today's liberal left, which we see all the time. They're bonkers. Political correctness, they're bonkers. And you know why the left is so, and liberals are so tied into political correctness? To take the attention off of important issues, like why we have such a huge debt. Notice how quiet they've been about the national debt now. When Bush was in there, they talked about it being $7 trillion. Now it's $17 trillion. Where's the media? They don't want you to know that. They don't want you to know why. They're printing money as we speak. They're bailing out the stock market as we speak. And it cannot, it's a giant balloon. But getting back to Amherst, this will show you. They were called the Lord Jeffs. They have a wonderful, it's a beautiful campus. It's a fine school, considered in the Ivy League. All the mucky mucks, children from all over the world, the wealthy, the famous, they've gone to Amherst. They have a nice athletic program. The world is falling apart. You know, we've got an administration that's given a dyed-in-the-wool enemy the right to make a bomb that can blow us all up, on top of $152 billion or $1 million. Doesn't matter. It's just the insanity of the liberals. And I must say, the Republicans are altogether liberal now, too many of them. But with all that's going on, with the presidential elections coming up, people can't find jobs. People, I'm talking about Americans. We've got these nitwits that are allowing people to come in here hand-wring. We haven't got homes for our own. We've got orphans in our own country. Thanks to the liberal policies of the politicians, both parties, we now have reintroduced diseases like TB, malaria, multiple. They tell me now polio is popping up. Has nothing to do, of course, with people illegally coming over the borders. No physicals, no nothing. Given a week's pay for doing nothing. Millions and millions and millions of non-citizens. Do we see Amherst College upset about that? Do we see UMass upset about that? What they've done last week is they were called the Lord Jeffs. That was the athletic team. Well, some very compassionate, very important educrat, I'm sure it was a group on the board, have decided they're going to change the name because research showed that the Lord Jeffs came from the evil lords that were soldiers, and they were responsible for, they were soldiers, they were responsible for a slaughtering of the Indians, God forgive me, Native Americans up in the Berkshires. So that's the priorities that this country is continuing to follow. And of course, the media takes the side of the liberals, of the feel-gooders, and they make that a priority. We have a number up there, and I'd love to hear from anyone that's interested in calling in before I get into the Trump situation. But the University of Massachusetts, I forget how many branches they have now, several. And the corruption really started full speed when Billy Bulger was appointed the new president. And the reason he was appointed is because the appointees on the boards, UMass included, when Billy Bulger was president of the Senate and basically running the entire state. He was responsible for those board members being on the board. Now, there was some outrage, not from the top Democrats, of course, because they have their hands in the cookie jar all the time and they spend your money beautifully. But there was some voicing against it. Excuse me. Now, the way that he was appointed was because he was touted, and rightly so, as a huge fundraiser, ability to get fundraisers. Now, the Democratic Party, as it became, when I left the party, why? Because it just has no conscience. That's why I read Martin Luther. They have no conscience. I don't mean there aren't great people. I have great friends that are Democrats, and I shake my head because I don't get it. I don't understand. I know they're morally strong in their family life and themselves. But when it comes to voting and when it comes to supporting that Democratic Party, they are ostriches. Their heads are so deep in the sand, it's pathetic. But anyway, so Billy Bulger got the job. The job, when he took it, time goes so fast, it has to be 20 years ago when Billy Bulger was president of UMass. The job paid $151,000 or $152,000. Excuse me, 3 or 4 years after he was in there, he had the salary up to $500,000, and he had 4 supporters, other positions, just like your schools today. You know, we've gone through this wonderful transition, and again, heaven forbid you look at the numbers, the enrollments. I went to Weymouth High School a long time ago, and they had 1 principal, 1 assistant principal. I think we had 11 or 1,200 students. There are schools now, high schools, with 600, 800. They got a dean of men, a dean of woman, assistant this, assistant that, vice principal, principal, all getting darn good salaries too. But that doesn't matter. So now, Billy Bulger gets those salaries up and also deletes the amount of work he has to do. Now, the Democrats, of course, supported all that. The Boston Globe should be the Boston Democrat Party newspaper. They supported it because, of course, not only was he raising the funds, but on top of that, he needed to have those people because of these additional satellite schools. Even though the additional satellite schools already had an administrator in place. Doesn't matter. See, the facts don't matter. Now, Mr. Kenneth Bukes, you have sashayed over here. I could use a breath. Have you got something to add to this? So please feel free
while you're
to
taking
jump
a breath,
in.
While you're taking a breath, I want you to put down your water glass and fix your microphone. It's fallen off.
Oh, once again, for heaven's sake, I've lost the cover. So,
well, we can find the cover after the show. But
how long has that been off?
It just I got a text message from a viewer telling me.
Oh dear,
that,
Steve, is that all right?
Okay. Now the other thing is, why don't you hook that on your tie?
Yeah.
There you go.
God, I feel like I got another wife.
Well, that's okay.
Go ahead.
I make you look good, Mr. McKeag.
Go ahead.
Now, what I want to know is, first off, is there anything new about the book that you would like to tell us?
Oh, you're giving me a chance to promote my book. Yes, well, the book is continuing well, and I am going to be appearing at a meeting in Abington shortly for New Beginnings. And it is available. In fact, today I was down to a doctor's appointment in Hyannis. It is By the way, it's available. There is a waiting list at Plymouth Library. I stopped there last week. There are 2 copies, and there's a waiting list, which I'm tickled to hear, although I'm sorry people are waiting.
Keep talking. I'll be right back.
Yeah, and in Carver, it is available there in Carver Library. And it is available in Titcom's bookstore on 6A in Sandwich, and also at Market Street Bookstore in Mashpee Commons. Beautiful place. And it's also available in Booksmith, Musicsmith in
Cape Cod.
Orleans.
In Orleans.
Yep.
So you pretty much saturated Cape Cod.
Well, I haven't yet because I'm supposed to go down to give a talk in Brewster at an authors group, and also I hope to it is now. It's also it's in Nantucket. I forgot, at Mitchell's store in Nantucket. So those listening that might be hearing from Nantucket, you can get the book there.
Now, I understand that the book is available on your webpage.
Yes, and that was what I
use PayPal.
Yes, you can buy it and I ship it out. Yes, that's still.
What would you repeat for everybody at home?
I will. Yes.
What that address is?
Yep. The address is just Donald McKeag, DONALDMCKEAG, which is up there, but no P. Don't use the P. DonaldMcKeag.com, and my website pops right up with a picture and a description of the book, and then you just go to PayPal, and you can order it right then and there, and I send them out myself, and I send a note and some other additional information, and you can get it on Amazon.
Yeah, but we
like to stay with PayPal.
We're not promoting Amazon.
No, we like to stay with PayPal.
So you do enclose a note for people so that if they wanted to do something special, like if they were making
I do, yes, and I sign them all, by the way, the ones that you get from PayPal.
A gift for a birthday or
signed.
something, you can enclose something special in there for that gift.
And I am going to be doing a book signing in March at Rye Tavern, great restaurant in Pine Hills.
It is a great place.
So I'm looking forward to that.
We all are looking forward to that one.
Yes.
Yes, that should be a rip-roaring time.
So now, what else, Kenny? Thank you for that respite from my haranguing.
Well, I wanted to make sure that we get to talking about
looks
the book.
good, too, doesn't it? It looks nice up there.
It must have
better
something
than looking at my mug.
It's the production company, I think.
Yes, good. Well, I think Steve has improved things a lot since he's come back.
He's the linchpin in the whole thing. What I'm curious about is if you have had the opportunity to experience this Donald Trump avoiding the Fox debate.
Well, you have that's just what all that I've said so far has been a build-up to my commentary on Donald Trump.
Okay, because I'm curious as to how you feel about that whole. I have my own personal feelings about it, but I want to know what you have to say about it.
Okay,
if you could.
I have a strong belief, in my frustration is, I don't mean to say I know it all, I don't. And I don't mean to say I'm always right, I'm certainly not. But my big frustration, Kenny, as you know, and we've talked about this, is I just am so frustrated that the way this country has been collapsing in so many ways, that the area where the source is just walking away clean. And this is what people are missing in this Donald Trump situation of not appearing on Fox. Let me just tell you, ladies and gentlemen, the truth of the matter is, it isn't about Donald Trump. The whole ramifications of whether he wins or loses. The entire ramification is so important because it rests on whether or not the American people are going to stop allowing the media, the mass media, to dictate to us how we are to live, which they have been getting away with since the late 50s when TV started getting a hold on values. First, if you remember, see, only those of us that have lived long enough through this time frame, and unfortunately the young people, they're not exposed to this, again, because education won't do it. They will not show what has happened in the last 50 years. Oh, they'll show the Kennedy assassination. They'll show some of the other things that happened. They'll have documentaries. But when it comes to actually seeing how the power has been wrested, W-R-E-S-T-E-D, away from the people, Donald Trump is the lone voice that we've never had it before, ever. He is representing a crack in the power of our major media, and they know it. He is the only one that has the guts and the money and the personality in his whole future, his whole past, to say to the media, hey, you're not going to tell me what to do. I don't choose to be subjected to cheap shot questions that are never asked to Democrats, never asked to the others, people who willfully want to make me look bad, not with issues that are important, but with personal things, so I'm not going to go in front of you. Now that's unheard of. There's not one Republican, not one Democrat that would have the gumption to do that. As a result, Fox is kissing his fanny. O'Reilly has him on last night.
Yes.
They still report him to be, and I listen to Howie Carr, and I listen to these people calling that are supposedly astute and listen to talk radio, and they don't get it. And that is, it is not about Donald Trump.
No,
it is
not.
about a person rising out of the ashes of the control of the people and having the gumption to say, you're not going to buy me, you're not going to force me. And his polls keep going up. And not a one of them, not all those experts, sees that, Kenny. And I know that is the issue.
A lot of people don't pay attention to a lot of things, Donnie. And the one thing
because they're too well off, Kenny. I'm
yes,
sorry.
And I pay attention to one very important thing that I don't want to be put into this pocket, but
No.
Bernie Sanders says he won't take big money,
Yeah.
but he's still taking money from the people.
Yeah.
The thing about Trump is he's not taking any money from big oil, any
Yep.
big PAC groups. He's using his own money.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like when he runs his business. He runs his businesses using his own money. He makes his investments that way. I see it as he wants to run this country the same way.
Bet your life.
And I think that is the difference between him
Yep.
and Bernie,
Yep.
and it's the difference between him and Hillary. Hillary, it's come out that she has accepted a large contribution from big oil. Really big contribution.
Well, let's get local. Elizabeth Warren.
I don't
She's bad-mouthed
Granny.
corporate America. She's bad-mouthed them to her students. She's taken big money from corporate America over and over.
Howie calls her granny, and I'll tell you.
No, but I'm just saying, and she skates. The Globe lets her skate.
I know. Thank God she's not my grandmother.
Well, but it doesn't,
It's awful.
Anyway, I don't mean to.
It's awful, and I think that a lot of people really need to pay attention to the fact is
Yeah, but they're not. They're not going to. That's why
money coming from that is running
they don't
these campaigns.
Let me just tell you, This country, and that's why I'm far from a religious person, I'm a very spiritual person. I believe deeply in God. I believe in the Ten Commandments. I believe deeply more in the existence of the 7 deadly sins, which no one in the media wants to revisit. Contrarily, you heard me read that list of things last week,
Right.
one of which is they determined that a child born, and by the time they're 18 in America, has witnessed on television over 80,000 murders
Right.
in the shows and the news reports.
Right. Exactly.
Now, how comfortable is that? How comfortable are parents with that? Violence, all because the greed of the media. And see, this is what, the only reason Fox, and what's ironic is they're supposedly the conservative,
That's the part
one
that's upsetting.
conservative outfit.
It's supposed to be
Yep.
conservative, and here they are attacking
Yep,
somebody.
That's what I'm saying.
And I just can't wrap my brain around that. And I'm
there's
not dense.
just like the Republicans. How come not one Republican, the one closest is Cruz, is in terms of taking on the media? They're scared to death because they have to be bought and paid for. The only reason that Fox has been chasing Trump is ratings. Only reason. And the only reason they want him on that debate is because without him, there won't be 30% of the audience.
Less people will watch. Less people
Yep.
will watch.
That's
And it's
the
all about the
only
numbers.
reason. And that's what I mean about the power of the media. They have to answer to their sponsors.
Well,
And their sponsors want Trump on. And I know I know a little bit about this.
Just a
I
little?
know what mealy-mouthed phonies, hypocrites run television and run radio.
I know you talk negatively at times about certain things where you are passionate.
I am
And
passionate.
I know that you are very passionate about an affiliate that you're associated with, which we aren't going to name here,
No.
that is very biased in its reporting. And you mentioned it to me privately many, many times.
Yes.
And so you're not just saying this today because
I've said it for
it's
20
something
years.
that you want to talk about. You felt this way for the years that I've known you, and I've heard you say it privately, and I've heard you say it publicly. I've heard you say it even on your radio show.
Yep.
So I think that more
Well, I'm
people,
glad you gave me, yeah, go ahead.
more people need to pay attention. And
But you have to want to. You have to want change, Kenny. And see
Well-
what the left has done. This is what's so frightening to me. And it should be to others. And why Trump? I don't care if he gets on the stage and wets his pants. I'm voting for him. And a lot of people are. And I know Democrats that are.
yeah,
And Scott Brown never got it through his head.
no, he made.
And
a
I
big-
tried to
he made
tell him,
big
no, he's a
mistake.
good man. But he tried to work with Democrats, and he couldn't get it.
Right.
The Democrats that are in office are liberals, and they're the problem, not the solution.
Right.
Every single one of them. But I'm just saying that if you can't stand, when I ran, another thing, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not boasting, I ran in 2000 as a state rep. I only got 36% of the vote. I ran as a Republican against an incumbent Democrat, had been there 12 years. The territory was Dukes County. I had to go to, Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard. I had residents over there saying they saw more of me than they had for the guy just during the campaign than the guy that was in office for 12 years, which I know to be true. Didn't matter. More people were going to vote for me until they found out I was running as a Republican. That's how sick our political mindset is today. And it's tied to my grandfather. And that's how, unfortunately, a lot of people who stay Democrat think. And now they have control through public employee unions. That's why Hillary Clinton can get elected. She's an absolutely pathological liar, as was her husband. It's recorded. She worked on the committee until she got fired that got rid of President Nixon. Now, he was an unlikable person. I'm not sticking up for, but what he did in office, a break-in of the Democratic National Convention looking for a list of paid prostitutes. That's what that was all about. That wasn't any national security. They wanted to hold it over on some Democrats. It was dirty politics, no question. They impeached him for that. You've got Hillary Clinton running for president, and she's made available through her private emails, classified, and then some information. We may have CIA agents and others dead and buried whose identity was learned through her irresponsible, arrogant, incompetent behavior. And Massachusetts will vote for her. And a good percentage of women are going to vote for her. And a good percent, they don't care what Trump does. They don't care how competent he is. They will never vote for him. They don't care about the future of this country. They truly don't. They care about their own future. And that's why I come on here. You can shut off the show. We don't have a lot of listenership, especially in Massachusetts. But what I'm saying, I'll meet my maker, and at least I'll have tried. I want to look at what I wrote down now that we're into the Trump thing. He's taken on the establishment that has and does dictate to all of us, and he's told us how he can change that, how he is not going to be taking orders from the media. He's not going to be following what Chris Matthews wants. All of these politicians we have are bought and paid for. When they do something nice, it's with your and my money, not their own. On top of that, they give themselves raises. They are nothing but cheap con men when it comes to deep down conscience. And I mean some nice people I know. And you know what happens? I've said the worst words you can hear is, oh, they all do it. That's what you got now. Oh, they all do it. And by the way, do you like how Hollywood and television has affected how we dress, how we talk? Watch the Turner movie, TMC, the Turner movie channel. Watch how people are dressed when they're in a restaurant. Watch how they're dressed when they're going on a trip. Watch how they're dressed walking around shopping in the city. And take a look at now. There's some political correctness there, too. You got people wearing hats on backwards, baggy pants down around their fanny, and they're 70 years old. They go to church with a Red Sox shirt on. Real class. In my day, for heaven's sake, if the F word was used in mixed company, the guys would poke anybody. They'd smack them. They'd certainly say something. Now the women use the F word. Does that please you women, you mothers? Do you like this open, There's someone here, I cut this out. This guy is in trouble. Listen to this now. Imagine anyone doing this. Imagine anyone doing... Oh, by the way, before I forget, take a look at the newspapers and watch the media. When you talk about controlling how you think, and it works, because you're all suckers. Not all of you, but a lot of you. Take a look at the pictures in the newspapers. I've got some right in front of me of Donald Trump. Every one of them he's sneering. His hair is on the side. He looks like a fruitcake. And then you take Hillary, who's a legitimate fruitcake, and she looks like some kind of a beauty, always smiling. And you don't think that's media manipulation? I had that happen with the Cape Cod Times. Spent a fortune with the Cape Cod Times advertising, raised more money than any other candidate in the state, 87-odd thousand my committee raised, which I was very proud of. Still couldn't win. That was never mentioned by the Cape Cod Times until we lost. And then, of course, they brought it up and they said, oh, by the way, Donald McKeag raised $87,000 and still couldn't win. But they also didn't use the picture that we had, which was an attractive, real picture.
Don, we got a phone
Wait a
call.
minute, they didn't use that. I'm almost done.
Okay.
They didn't use that. They found some picture taken out of a group where I was looking off to the side, not at all attractive, by design. That's how nasty and rotten the political establishment is and has become with the absolute support of the media. That's what this Trump issue is about. He's like the Robin Hood of politics. And the people that are following him feel the same way. He's going against evil King John, only King John is the entire political establishment today. It is rotten to the core. And any of you think that the people that are supporting Trump are all whack job, right-wing nuts that are Republicans, you are sadly mistaken. Because the media is never honest about polls either. You trust that they're going to tell you the truth? But they have to now with these polls because there's people watching. When he's got a 50% rating in the Northeast, which is so liberally infested, they've got trouble. But it's going to be a very difficult thing for Trump to make it, just because the average person isn't going to support him. We got a caller. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Thank you for calling. Who is this?
This is Irene McCann from Plymouth.
Hi, Irene McCann from Plymouth. Oh, she's even given her last name, so.
I did. Donnie, I've been a long time senator listening to you on the radio, and once my husband and I met you at the job lot right here in Plymouth.
Oh, I did. I thought of you. You know, I was there last week, Irene, and I thought I saw John. Is it John?
It's Bob.
I'm Bob, but I thought I saw him again. Anyway, excuse me. Thanks for calling.
We just have listened to you for so many years on the radio, and we have missed you so much. And I'll tell you what, you speak for us. You say everything that we believe in, and we just love you so much.
Well, aren't you nice? I hope you're having counseling. Have you had counseling over the years?
No. Have not needed counseling. I think that we are in our right minds. I really do. And as I say, we're on the same page.
Well, let me ask you this, and thanks so much for calling. It does concern me that we don't get more callers, but then I have people say, well, they're listening anyway, and we do hear from people. But how do you feel, you and Bob, about my analysis of this Trump situation?
I feel that you are absolutely right.
Yep.
Yes, I really do.
And no one seems to say it. This is what frustrates me. I know I'm right about these things because I have experience in it.
Right.
And I've been, we've been around long enough, but I mean, to see the general population just doesn't get it. And certainly don't expect help from the newspapers or from the,
No, no help at all because they're so biased, So you just have to go on what you hear and just trust yourself to do the right thing.
Well, I hope you like what I read about Martin Luther, because it's the truth. We've got to get a conscience back again, Irene, We cannot, our kids and, I'm on for my kids and grandkids. I'll be gone, we'll be gone, our generation. But shame on our generation for just playing golf and going to Florida and never saying a word. You know?
It's a me world.
It's
all
just
about
mean, yeah. And it's greedy.
It is.
There's no
very,
question
very
it's the
greedy.
greed. They don't want to say anything and jeopardize the apple cart, you know?
That's right. Absolutely right. It's very depressing, really.
Yeah, I try not to, but it wears me down.
It does.
Especially when I run into, I drove to work the other day, and you listen to the news, and then I see these trailer tractors coming down with the sand. It's 5 in the morning, 5:30. And then you go to the coffee shop and you see these nice gals working at a coffee shop. And you go into the supermarket and you go into, I went into Verizon. There's so many nice young people, young and old, working. They're working. They're paying their taxes.
That's right.
And these birds that are elected to protect them, protect those of us that have worked.
No, it's not.
Not only do they not protect them, they abuse it. Charity no longer begins at home in America.
No.
Liberals give it away to every Tom, Dick, and Harry to feel good about something. I don't know what. But
I don't know what, and our pennies are going to it, and it's not right. We work hard for our money, and it should go to the right people, and it's not going.
Yep.
No, it's a very discouraging, but we just have to keep going and doing what we feel is the right thing.
And we have to know, see, I'm a history supporter too, and Rome went through the same thing. That's what's so frightening to me. We're right on the same path as other great cultures, and for the same reason: greed, lust, lack of conscience, lack of care for your fellow man, just thinking about yourself and your own, turning your back on people that need help, that are really needing help. And then just, paying attention to the golf matches, to the Patriots, and all the things that are really controlling the future. Just avoid them,
It's the me world.
Yep.
That's what it is, Donnie.
Sad.
I'm so glad that I listen to you. We love you. My husband and I listen to you all.
Oh, Well, you don't know how much it means just to have your call.
Well, sometimes we met up with you at the job lot in Plymouth. And
Wasn't that funny?
we just love you. We think you are the best.
Well, it makes me feel good because I'll tell you, at least I don't quit. And it is fun when I go into places, like I'll go to the supermarket sometime, I'll be talking to somebody, and lo and behold, and what does please me? I'll have some young people every now and then come up. I had a girl with 2 young kids. What a cute family. Her carriage was full, and she said, "I recognize that voice. Aren't you Donnie McKeag?" And I said, "I sure am, but you don't listen to radio. You're too young to listen to that stuff." I listen every Saturday, and I want to hug them, and it moves me. It really does.
Yes, and we listened to you, and we loved your restaurant when you had it. We're old timers.
Well, I hope you'll read the book too. The book's pretty good. You get it at the library.
We'll get that book, and we'll give it as gift, presents at Christmas time. Yes, we will, definitely.
Oh, good, honey.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. All the best to you. Are you getting away at all?
Pardon?
The winter, can you get away somewhere warm?
No, we're stuck. We're self-employed, and we have been for all these years, 50 years, and so, we're kind of stuck.
Well, that's all right. Well, we're all done here. We're going out, so thank you so much. I can't tell you how much that means. Thanks so much.
Pleasure. Thank you, boy.
Thank you.
I just love you so much.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank all of you, too, listening to my harangues and standing on the soapbox. I don't mean to be unkind to others, but people are unkind to us out there that are in positions of trust. And unfortunately, I don't trust them. And the people that are out there following Donald Trump around, let me tell you, they don't trust what's happened, and they don't trust the future. Think about it. God bless you. Have a wonderful weekend. This is the Don McKeag Show with Kenny Bukes and Steve Lyden. And we want to thank you so much for taking the time to listen to us. God bless.